Chapter 2. A treacherous plot. The celebration of Edmond Dance's betrothal had ended in shock and silence. The music had stopped, the sweets had turned bitter in the mouths of the guests, and Mercedes' white dress, once a symbol of joy, now seemed like a garment of mourning. Edmond had been taken away by soldiers, accused of crimes he did not even understand. Mercedes clung to Edmond's father, her face pale and wet with tears. "They cannot keep him," she whispered. "Edmond is innocent. Everyone knows it." The old man nodded, though his hands trembled. "Yes, child, but envy is a cruel enemy. I fear something dark has been planned." Indeed, outside the walls of their humble home, two men congratulated themselves in secret, Danglars and Fernand. They had succeeded in their scheme, and now they waited for the storm to destroy their rival. The letter of betrayal. The false letter, written by Danglars and delivered by Fernand, had been placed into the hands of Gérard de Villefort, the deputy prosecutor of Marseille. Villefort was a young man of ambition, eager to rise in government. He read the accusation carefully. Edmond Dance, sailor of the ship Pharaon, carries a letter from Napoleon Bonaparte to his supporters in Paris. At once, Villefort's face darkened. Though many such letters had been rumored, this one carried danger. The country was ruled by King Louis XVIII, restored to the throne after Napoleon's defeat. Any hint of Bonapartist activity was treated as treason. To protect the king, men had been executed for far less. "Bring this Edmond Dance before me," Villefort ordered. "We shall see what truth lies behind his smile." Interrogation. Edmond was taken into a cold stone room. His hands were bound, but his spirit was unbroken. He stood tall before the deputy prosecutor, confused but not afraid. "Monsieur Dance," Villefort began, "you are accused of carrying a letter from the exiled Emperor Napoleon to his supporters in Paris. What say you?" Edmond's eyes widened with astonishment. "A letter? Yes, I was given a letter on the island of Elba by the dying captain of my ship. He begged me to deliver it, and I promised. I did not even read it. It was an act of duty, nothing more." Villefort leaned forward, his eyes sharp. "Do you know to whom this letter was addressed?" "No, monsieur," Edmond said honestly. "I only know it was to be delivered in Paris. I wished only to keep my word to my captain. I am a sailor, not a politician." The sincerity in Edmond's voice would have touched any fair-hearted judge, but Villefort's ambition clouded his sense of justice. For when he broke the seal and read the letter, he discovered a terrible truth. It was addressed to a Bonapartist leader, his own father. If the letter became public, Villefort's family name would be ruined and his career destroyed. His heart pounded as he faced the young sailor. Here was a man innocent of plotting, yet carrying evidence that could bring shame upon him. "You admit to carrying this letter?" Villefort demanded. "Yes," Edmond replied, "but I swear to you I had no idea of its contents. I would gladly burn it if it causes harm." Villefort studied Edmond for a long moment. He saw the honesty, the innocence, the youth. Part of him longed to release the boy and clear his name, but his ambition refused. Villefort's voice grew cold. "Edmond Dance, you have confessed to carrying a letter from the enemy of the king. For this, you are guilty of treason. Guards, take him to the Château d'If." "No," Edmond cried. "I am innocent, please listen to me." But his words were drowned by the clanging of the prison doors. Reactions in Marseille. When the news spread that Edmond had been imprisoned, shock and disbelief filled Marseille. Mercedes refused to believe it. She went from door to door, pleading with officials, crying out that Edmund was no traitor. "He knows only ships, sails, and the sea," she said desperately. But her cries fell on deaf ears. The government was afraid of Napoleon's return, and any man accused of serving him was guilty in their eyes. Edmund's father grew weaker with grief. He had only his son in the world, and now even that comfort had been torn from him. He sat for hours by the window, staring at the sea, whispering Edmund's name. Meanwhile, Danglars and Fernand celebrated quietly. Danglars smiled to himself, imagining the Pharaon under his influence now that Edmund was gone. Fernand, though, cared only for Mercedes. He visited her daily, pretending to comfort her, but secretly hoping her despair would push her into his arms. Yet each time Mercedes turned away, her loyalty to Edmund unshaken. "I will wait for him," she said firmly. "If he is in prison for 100 years, still I will wait." Her words cut Fernand's heart like a knife. Villefort's secret. Late at night, Villefort sat in his study, the letter spread before him. His hands shook as he read his father's name once again. If the king discovered that Gérard de Villefort's father was a traitor, all his dreams of power would collapse. His fiancée's family was royalist. His own career depended on loyalty to the crown. Everything he had worked for could vanish in an instant. "I must destroy this letter," Villefort muttered. With cold determination, he threw the letter into the fire. The flames consumed the paper, turning it into ash. Then he whispered, "Farewell, Edmond Dance. You are sacrificed for my future." The journey to the Château d'If. At dawn, soldiers dragged Edmond from his cell. Shackled and pale, he was pushed into a small boat that carried him across the waters of Marseille. He looked desperately at the city, the port where he had dreamed of being captain, the house where his father waited, the streets where he had walked with Mercedes. Every sight pierced his heart like a blade. "Where are you taking me?" he cried. "To the Château d'If," one guard replied grimly. Edmund's blood turned cold. The Château d'If was a fortress prison built on a rocky island, infamous for housing traitors and prisoners. Few who entered its gates ever returned. As the boat approached the dark stone walls rising from the sea, Edmund's spirit sank. He stretched out his hands toward the city, shouting, "Mercedes, Father, help me!" But no voice answered, only the crash of the waves against the rocks. As the iron doors shut, he felt the world of freedom and love slip away, leaving only hollow pain within him. The plot completed. Back in Marseille, Fernand and Danglars exchanged satisfied glances. "Dance is gone," Danglars said quietly. "The sea has swallowed him, though he lives still." Fernand nodded, his eyes fixed on Mercedes from a distance. "Yes, gone, and now she will be mine." But deep in his heart, he knew the truth. Though Edmund was imprisoned, his spirit lived on in the heart of Mercedes, and no chains could break that bond.